Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of Science and Shiny. I'm Dr. Paul Felton, and today I'm joined as normal by Kevin Shine, and we have a very special guest, Liam Plunkett.
Yes, very special guest today, World Cup winner Liam Plunkett. Not just the World Cup, a fantastic career with over 1,000 wickets, and that's from international cricket, first class cricket, a brilliant professional career. So welcome, Liam.
No, thanks for having me. I flew in all the way from Philly just for this podcast today. So I'm excited to talk all things bowling and to go through my career. It's excited to be here.
Cool, so we'll move on and straight into it. So let's start right back at the beginning with your earlier career. You burst onto the scene at Durham.
Yeah.
Let's go slightly before that. What was it like learning the game? How did you go about it? What were your early thoughts on technique and bowling quick?
I think as a youngster playing club cricket, you just play for fun. It wasn't too much technical. My dad was my first coach, so I think he had a great way of just sort of teaching me and making it fun. He knew the basics of cricket. He's doing the same with my niece and nephews right now, so he made it fun, and I enjoyed playing cricket. So I didn't think about the technique too much until I probably went to Durham Academy. And Jeff Cook, who was running the Durham Academy back then, was kind of old school. So it's more you just bowl and bowl and bowl and bowl, which obviously makes you a hardened cricketer. You learn to sort of fight through the little niggles. But yeah, I mean, during that period, it wasn't too technical. It was sort of, as I got more advanced and played more cricket and sort of seeked out more information in terms of technique, was probably like 17, 18-year-old when I started professional cricket. I kind of seeked out different information about, well, how can I improve here? Why am I struggling with this? Why am I getting aches and pains here? So yeah, I mean, it's when I first started professional cricket, when I started picking up sort of the technical side of stuff.
So looking back on those early years, now you're going into your coaching journey.
Yeah.
Do you see some of the fundamentals within some of that fun stuff you did? Were they there? You can highlight them now, but you can still go back and be fun with those early years.
Yeah, I think it's something just if you sort of speaking to young kids, and like even from school age in America, elementary school, is you just sort of like run up in straight lines using the train track, making that fun, making sure you're not kind of falling off, make sure your head's not flying off to covers. And yeah, obviously alignment's nice and straight, and you still use that with professionals, right? You can sort of check back in with players who've been around the system for a long time, and maybe they've got a little bit tired or not played cricket for a while, and just make sure your alignment's right, you're running in nice and straight, and you're following through nice and straight. I think the basics translate from kindergarten all the way through to professional cricket. So
Now that we're talking about how you go through, you mentioned kindergarten through to professional cricket. Let's go back a few years. I remember you as an 18-year-old coming to Loughborough and thinking there's no chance you're 18 years old. And it was really interesting to see you burst into first-class cricket very, very early on with Durham. Can you talk us through your first-class debut and then your first season?
yeah, I mean, I joined Durham Academy as like an all-rounder. I'm kind of harsh a little bit. I mean, I was bowling a little seamers, and Phil Mustard at the time, wicketkeeper, played for England and Durham, used to stand up to me. And I think one winter, like, I sort of got into my fitness, which was still today. I love that side of my sort of the game. Jeff Cook, old school, sort of instilled that into me. It's like fitness first, and I've always took that on board for the good and the bad, right? I probably picked up injuries because I've done too much, probably tried deadlift too much before a test or something stupid like that. But I remember starting as an all-rounder. I grew and all of a sudden started to bowl quick. Curl went from standing up to standing back, and I sort of burst on the scene very quickly. I was playing for Durham Academy on a Saturday. I think there was an injury at Headingley. Durham were playing against Yorkshire, and I think I made my my championship debut at Yorkshire at Headingley, and I managed to pick up 5 foot, which was amazing. Played against Darren Goff, one of my heroes, Yuvraj Singh at that time. And it happens so quickly, right? You go from playing club cricket, all of a sudden, a blink of an eye, you're playing against your hero. You're playing at Headingley Stadium, which I'd been to once before to watch England play. And all of a sudden, it's you're straight into the limelight.
So what did you find the difference was between academy and club cricket, where everybody starts, and then coming up against your heroes? What were the adjustments that you had to make?
I think right then because I didn't think too much technically back then, I just sort of turned up and like, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to run up and bowl. I'd not played against these guys before, so all you do is like, well, I've got nothing to lose here. These are some of the best players. They've been playing first-class cricket for such a long time. They've played Test cricket. You had some international stars there, so it's like, well, I can't sort of judge myself on how this has went before. So I just kind of turned up and ball. You are a little bit nervous, but then when you start getting into your work and, well, actually, I'm bowling decent pace here, like that bouncer was quick and you struggle with that, or I bowled a ball and he played and missed, and you kind of just get into your work.
Yeah. Did you feel under pressure at any time in that first year?
I'm not too sure. I mean, under pressure with the fact that you play and you want to keep playing. The pressure was eased off, and I was very fortunate that I did take wickets at that first game, and all of a sudden it's like you're playing, your youngster coming through bowling quick. The wicket was very friendly at Headingley back in the day. It had a few cracks in there. So that kind of helped me the first game. A little bit of pressure because, you want to play, you want to be playing professional cricket. That's why I'm playing cricket now. I played for Durham Academy, and I want to play first class cricket. I want to play professional cricket. So the pressure to stay in the team was there. And I mean, it soon sort of changed. I think the second game we played at the Rose Bowl, and I think I got 1 for 100. So it kind of
brought you back down.
Yeah, I mean, it went from this is county cricket, this is amazing, this is kind of cruisy and easy, picking up wickets, to actually this is hard work.
Yeah. So you had a solid first season, got 19 championship wickets, and then you got 31.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was the national lead for fast bowling for the ECB, and I'd obviously seen you as an 18-year-old. You'd come to Loughborough, and at that point I thought, wow, this lad's really physical.
Yeah.
And we might go back to your take on physical fitness, because it's something that's really important for fast bowlers. When you then started to really learn the game, and it looked like it was the second season when you were taking over 30 wickets, were there any adjustments you made for that, or did you carry on just thinking naturally?
I think it was quite naturally at that point. And it was sort of tinkering in between. I was in Loughborough for a little bit. I was with England academies, England 19. So you kind of taking advice of coaches. Nothing at that point really was like, okay, that stand out to me. It was just, I think everything was quite easy at that point for me. It was so natural that I was swinging the ball a lot. I was bowling the odd wide, but it was nothing to worry about. And I just got into a rhythm. And when I bowled decent pace, maybe 85 miles an hour, and it was swinging, I felt like I was troubling everyone. Jeff Cook, the coach there, was excellent. I think Alan Walker was there at that time as well. So he was a coach who was just like the old school, make sure you pull down on your front arm, which is like a lot of the coaches use. And it makes sense if you're trying to keep it simple. You can see something in the ball, if he's just pulling away a little bit, we'll keep pulling down on the chain. And it was made to be very simple at that point. And it was working for me. I was so young at that point, coming into first class cricket, that I was just sort of enjoying that journey.
Yeah. So when you're talking about those little nuggets that coaches were giving you, were you then starting to get a little bit more curious about your technique, and could it improve your performance?
A little bit, but I think it was at that point when I was 18, 19. So I'd played 2 years, I think 18, 19 wickets, and the second year it was 31, or 30. Yeah. And then I kind of went to under 19s. I was with England Lions, England Academy at that point, backing down from Loughborough. And I worked on some technique stuff, and I went through a bit of a challenge where I was kind of asked to change my action. And obviously, me being young and speaking to coaches, you do that because that's their job. They're professional. This is what we do. We're going to change you, so I'm all aboard. I think the communication at that point was not great between the coaches who I was working with in Durham. There was no kind of cross communication there. So I went from feeling like I was bowling like Curly Ambrose, one of my heroes, Glenn McGrath, with the high arm, using that height and my tallness and using the bounce, to all of a sudden I was asked to kind of change it to be a bit more like Brett Lee. And as I said, at this point, I'm young and, well, okay, I want to do this. And I think I went through a bit of a battle at that point. And when I came back after a World Cup with the 19s, where I was bowling with the short lever, that's when I came home and seeked out, well, what's going on here? Like, I don't feel comfortable with this. I want to get back to where I was. I didn't have any issues with my back. I wasn't injured. So that's when I kind of, at that point, I was struggling through, I was battling, got back to somewhere I was near my old action. I felt comfortable again. And then that's kind of when I LinkedIn started with England. You were around at that time. And as you said, speaking about youngsters, making it like my dad did, doing little technical stuff, but making it enjoyable. That's kind of what you did. You have your expertise and your ball biomechanics, and you kind of put it across to me in a simple way, right? We did a lot of hard work at that point. That's when when I met you at that point. We did a lot of hard work. Our first test trip together, mate, was 2005, I think it was. Was it Pakistan?
The India one-day internationals. Yeah.
So, I mean, as I said, there was a lot went into it, but it was made simple to me as a player because I didn't want to fill my mind too much. So that's when I got into it, is when I went through a bit of up and down, and I felt like I was struggling that's when I seeked out, well, what we're doing here, how do we change? Why did I change? Did I need to change? Was that the right reason? Was that just to justify a coach believes this is going to, do you know what I mean? So it was a confusing time, but sort of sinking in, working with you, making it simple, getting back to where I was before, but making it safe. It was like a bit of everything. Because it's confusing, right? As a youngster, it's
well, you trust people, don't you? You're putting your trust in those coaches. Would you have any advice now for younger players if they were getting advice? And once again, when you're young, it's difficult to know what is right, what might not be quite as comfortable for you. Would there be any sort of gold nugget you could give someone, with hindsight, that will allow them to actually make their own decisions?
It's tough, isn't it? Because maybe I was influenced quite easy, but you with experts, expect that to be truthful. They're in a position to help you, so you're taking that on board. I don't know, you want to trust the coach, because I think 99% want the best for you. So it's just, I don't know, maybe you're seeking out, maybe at that point I could have communicated better with like a Durham coach and maybe got them together, but at 17, 18, is that my job? Like, I don't know, maybe I should have spoken, got more advice, and is this working? Should we be doing this?
Yeah.
But like, maybe you do seek out as a youngster, well, can I get any more information on this? Maybe ask more questions. Why am I doing this? Is this going to benefit me? Do you know what I mean? Like, what's the reason behind this? Maybe I didn't seek out enough information. So maybe as a youngster, like as a teenager, you just ask more questions, I think. Ask more questions, get to know why we're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think from my point of view, like, it's interesting to talk about the Brett Lee model. We went through some science where it was like, that's the way everyone has to bowl. And now we're kind of moving back to understanding why people do it differently, which I think is really nice. And I think with your diet, we'll probably talk a bit more about like the physicality versus the momentum styles of bowling and your bowling action later. I think that knowing why is the crucial thing of linking science with the art of coaching in terms of what we try and do. I was talking to Paul Johnson, ex-Notts, a couple of nights ago, and he talked about all the little nuggets of information you picked up from those big characters in the changing room, those heroes when you first started. Like, what, have you got 2 or 3 you can remember?
I mean, not really. I mean, a lot, like what I was sort of brought up playing was like, it's no complaints, right? So everyone in that dressing was like, if you complain, it was kind of weakness. It's changed a little bit now because you want to be open. Back then, a youngster didn't say much.
Okay.
If he did say something, it'd be classed as you're a cheeky so-and-so, right? But now I think it's more open, you can chat. I just a massive believer in hard work, and that was sort of instilled in me by some of them characters. And you had a lot of the guys play county cricket, like Dale Benkenstein, Michael Divinito, who played a lot of first-class cricket, played in different countries, have been successful. It was doing all of the basics, doing hard work, putting graft in, no complaints, getting on with it. And that was kind of my heroes. Everyone I played with I sort of went to their side. They were just like, let's just get on with it. And I think that I was brought up that way as well with mum and dad. I didn't hear any complaints. They went through plenty of stuff in their lives, and it was no complaint, just crack on with it. But as you get older, it's like, how far does that get you? And then, as you said, you're probably seeking out a little bit more. I can just get on with it, but how do I improve? Me just getting on with it, is that going to make me the best I can be? Yeah. But no, I think it's just picking up little things from a lot of people you meet. Is as you get older, you learn to say, well, I'm going to take that. I'm going to use it. I'm going to take that and not use it. It's learn not to use everything everyone says. And I think as a youngster, you sometimes do, don't you? Take something and you think you have to use it. I think as you get older, a little bit smarter, it's like, I want to use what I want to use, filter out what I don't want to use. But I can't specifically say like two people. I think there's so many people I've used. There might be something from yourself, something from him and her. So I try and use knowledge from everyone.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point about coaching and science. It's like, there's lots of science out there. You take what you can, even what you understand, and you use the bits that you want to, rather than trying to apply it all in one go. Yeah. For me, like, we'll move on now. You talked about the great changing rooms and the problems of the schoolyard you learned in. You also went on to have some great success with Durham in 08 and 09 with winning the championship and including the first title in the history of the club. What was it like to be around the club then?
Yeah, it was unbelievable, because it's obviously to win something, to be the first, to be involved with the team who did the first thing for Durham at the Riverside, which was the club that I played at. It was a beautiful ground. With some of the guys still involved there in the backroom staff who'd been at Durham since day one, to start professional. But yeah, a great group of guys, and it felt like we weren't expected to win anything at that point. And the academy guys came through Jeff Cook's system, and at that point you were working with Shiny, England academies, and Durham academy system was great. These guys pushed up from academy, and all of a sudden we were in that first team squad. And yeah, winning something, that's one of the best achievements of my life, is because I've been with these guys since I was 16, and all of a sudden you win in a championship. But obviously I had Benkenstein and Harmy and Collingwood, and you had a lot of great players coming through. Graham Onions, who went on to have a test career and a successful first class, one of the best first class bowlers around. So yeah, it was amazing to win that. Around the club was just hard work, and that was the main thing, is let's get on with it, let's get behind each other, back each other. And we just had a great team, and it was great fun. Yeah, I mean, at that point, is you're just playing as you're still a kid. You just turn up to play, good enjoyment, just have good enjoyment and play the game. You didn't think too much about it. So it was amazing. Yeah, it was a great group of games.
Personally, like for you at that time, you were performing quite well as well. I think you were scoring runs with a bat as well in that season.
Yeah, that's what Jeff was so good at. I mean, you're playing first team cricket and you're batting number 8, 9, you're still getting so much time in the nets as a batsman here, that you're so important as number 8 and 9. If you can get the odd 50 and build them partnerships, and I think nowadays everyone tries to bat all the way down, and there's not many pure bowlers or just a spinner, or so that's where the value is, especially in franchise cricket, right? If you want to make some good money, you got to have three balls, 3 strings.
So the first part of your career was unusual, because young players normally don't accelerate quickly, and you had a fairly accelerated career, and it was going really nicely for you. We know in pro sport it doesn't always keep going from that massive upward curve, does it? So, at some point you do have struggles. Can you talk us through your first struggle and how you got through it?
Yeah, I can't put like the nail on the head, but I remember I was actually with England at that time, and I'm not sure what it was or what I was going through technically, and I remember playing the day before a test match at Old Trafford. I won't name names, but like the bowling coach was, you're bowling wide, we'll just bowl quick. And at that point, like, I didn't even know my action, and I felt like I was all arms and legs, and I was thinking about every single thing, every single footstep when I was approaching the crease, where I was landing, where my arms were, and I was so lost. But I'm not sure what actually caused that, right? Like, I think it must have been a build-up of things, where maybe I'd struggle in county cricket, and then I played test cricket, and I was just, I don't know, it was, at that point, I wasn't consistent. It was great or not great. It wasn't like this, right? It wasn't like that, okay, you're doing a good job. It was like, okay, amazing, you bowl a pile or whatever, and then it was good. It wasn't like, okay, this is what we're looking for. And then that's when I'm thinking about it now, like having this conversation, that's kind of when I seeked out a lot more. And Neil Colleen was sort of transitioning into coaching at that point, and to be honest, he sort of went above and beyond and helped me. He was sort of good at that point. When I was at Durham, and that's when I was with you a lot at that time. That winter, I think after I struggled with test, I was still involved in the Lions, and I think you're a massive advocate for that. I think it was, we want to keep him involved, where other coaches might want to get youngster in or someone else in. I think at that point, you helped me, and we went to the Dennis Lilly thing at that time. I think it was all like a combination, but you backed me at that point. It was working with you, Killer was helping me, but I honestly can't remember one specific where it's like everything's gone wrong. I just remember bowling before a test. I'm like, I'm playing test cricket tomorrow, and I have no idea where I'm bowling. And I think it was,
See, that's an interesting part of fast bowling, is it? Because you'll have the technical, the tactical, but then there's a big thing called belief.
Yeah.
Where you stand at the end of your mark, and you don't want to think hope, because hope becomes a little bit of a dirty word, doesn't it? In your head, and starts you thinking very, very clunky thoughts. So let's talk about how you rebuilt your belief, because there'll be a number of fast bowlers out there who will probably go through this loss of belief. It might be a technical, might be tactical, but how did you actually manage to pull yourself out?
I think I'd spent, when you mentioned winning it with Durham, we went again and won another one, I think back to back, I think it was back to back.
Yeah, I think it was 08, 09,
Yeah, and then, I don't know, I was struggling with, that was when I'd struggled with England as well, and went back to Durham, and I was just like struggling with like the environment. A lot of it could have been from me. I love the people that worked there, but I felt like it was time for a change. So kind of Yorkshire interested, and I was born in Middlesbrough, right in between. I guess I classed myself as a Yorkshireman. And then Martin Moxon, who was involved with Durham way back when I first started, was now back at Yorkshire. Jason Clesby was head coach. So I had a meeting with these guys, and I think they were sort of still surprised. I said, listen, I want to get back and play for England here. I had a good chunk of time then in America, and I went, my wife's from America, so I went out there and trained. As we mentioned earlier, like the training, the fitness side's massive for me. And I just went and did like a 3-4 month training block, working with some of the good S&Cs who've been involved with NFL and basketball and stuff. And I remember coming back, and I was like, every fitness test, I think it was 1 or 2 the whole way through, and I was confident in myself. And at that point, Dizzy was just like, I mentioned about that coach when I played for England, she said, ball quick. But it was a different time. I was in the middle of a test and I was struggling. When I came back with Yorkshire, I remember at that point, Dizzy was like, just ball quick. And at that time, the man management was great because it worked for me at that point. So it was like, that's why I like Dizzy. He'd seen something and backed himself, where the coach before, he was a good person, whatever, it just didn't fit at that time.
That difference between England and county cricket can be a little bit difficult, can't it? Because in international cricket, you had the shirt effectively at the time, and head coaches might actually think, well, actually there's a few more behind actually who I can get in, because I need those results absolutely now. In county cricket, there's not so many sort of really decent bowlers lining up behind you, so maybe that's where Jason actually thought, well, actually I do believe in this guy. And I can actually remember when Jason was thinking of signing you, I saw him at a match and he said, I'm thinking of signing Liam Plunkett, what do you think? And I remember that conversation. I thought, this could be so right for you.
Yeah.
And I asked him, what would your approach be with him? And I said, well, I just want to simplify it for him.
Yeah.
I want to back him. And I think that was a really crucial thing for you, is that you had a coach who was going to back you. And I said, well, what do you mean by back him? He said, I'm going to play him. Even if he's struggling a little bit, I am going to keep playing him. And I thought that is perfect for you. And it seemed like that approach and that relationship really started to flourish with you.
I think it was, I felt like I was at the right place at the right time. Jeff Cook in Durham, I was a youngster. And I think being involved with that, you're sort of a kid. But when I don't know, nothing on Jeff Cook here, but I think he still sees you as that youngster, even when you're a little bit older. Do you know what I mean? So when you're like 25, 26, 27, he still sees you as that 17-year-old. It's like, well, no, and then it was just a good time when I moved to Yorkshire. Dizzy had been involved in so much cricket, a great bowler. It was more the fact like, I'll get a champo tomorrow, we're batting, you guys take your time, go on recovery, go for a swing, treat you more like an adult. Come in late because we trust you what you're doing. And I don't know, we built like, he was a bowler, so he looked after the bowlers beautifully. So it just went well, mate. But do you know what, like, chatting about this as well, it's like when you play for England and if it doesn't go well, I think respecting county cricket, because you're like, oh, if it doesn't go well for England, I'll just go and take county cricket up. It doesn't work like that at all. You go back to county cricket, you bowl a wide pie and you're going to go to the boundary.
It's hard, isn't it? It's a hard game.
That was the thing, because like, you're going back, all of a sudden you're going test cricket, and then I'm playing Durham seconds. And rightly so, because I wasn't performing. But I think you do take for granted, right? Like if your techniques, if I'm pulling away or I'm not bowling nicely here, your confidence goes, that's not going to all of a sudden be there. Because Ian Bell still plays for Warwickshire. Marcus Scothick still plays for Somerset, right? So it's respecting that sort of back and forth a little bit.
Yeah. So do you think that when you're looking at the quality of the game was still very, very high?
Yeah.
But did Jason help you to just release yourself mentally a little bit there?
I think the combination of me getting fit and strong and being hungry, a fresh start, and Dizzy being great. Andrew Gale was also, I played with Gale for England, played against him. He was so aligned with Dizzy. And it was just like, listen, just run up and bowl quick. At that time, we had City, who was immaculate, didn't miss his length, one of the best left-arm overs that played county cricket. You had Brooksy, who just signed, who was top of the knee roll, bowled nice and straight. And you had Brezzy and Pato, a very same. So for me, it's like, well, you're coming on first change, let's just bowl quick. And at that point, it was like, well, and this kind of shows your confidence. At that point, I was 28, 29, and sometimes I didn't have the confidence early on to hold the ball seam up. It's amazing as a 28-year-old, you feel like you're strong, you're a man's man, and like you're at the top of your mark, you're frightened about holding the ball like seam up. It was like, well, just go with it. Why don't you come around the wicket from ball one and bowl cross seam and bowl rapid bounces? And that was just like, all right, I'll give it a go. And I felt fit, so I would bowl 7 overs of around the wicket, bowling gas. But then within that, I got confident, and okay, I can change the ball around here. Then I'd bowl quick, and the ball come out swing late because I was fully behind it. But Dizzy was great.
take you back to something you said earlier when you used to come from that high action and both those beautiful away swingers.
Yeah.
So did you find that you were starting to then get back to that level of control from a technical perspective to your release?
Yeah, I did. I think as a kid growing up, you feel like everyone has to skin the cat exactly the same. Everyone has to be the same ball of hitting that length day in, day out. I'm not Jimmy, I'm not Pato, Steve Patson versus the Yorkshire who just hit the length. It's like, how can I be a little bit different? I think it's then being comfortable with the fact, like, I'm not a person that hits the spot 6 out of 6. Actually, what I do best, a bit like baseball, right? You got a bullpen of all different pitches. Cricket's very similar. If you can have a group of bowlers who can be a little bit different, when it is flat, you have someone more than 90 miles to that. When it is nipping around a bit, you have someone who hit the top of the stumps. Do you know what I mean? So that's, but I did. I mean, when I sort of got confidence, when I started running in with a nice pace, I got fit and I was strong. Everything was aligned in terms of I felt my body's in a good position. My release was high. When we talk about the front leg as well, I never had a bruised front legs. Maybe that probably would have helped me. But the fact that I got strong, like in my core and stuff, I was sort of being able to counteract that a little bit. But yeah, when I bowled quick and I ran in strong, everything aligned. And when I looked at my action then, it was probably more spot on, the best that could be. Yeah. But I think that comes from confidence.
Felton, let's bring a bit of science into this, because that was a great little segue from Liam there on the front leg. And it's a bit of a headline, isn't it? You find lots of coaches out there and players saying, I've got a brace on the front leg. Yeah. What's your take on that?
I think I'd have been on that page probably 10, 15 years ago. But I think now, as we know more about how strength impacts what we're trying to do, and we know there's players throughout the history of the game that have bowled quick without doing it, we're starting to understand, well, actually, maybe you don't want to use all your run-up momentum. You can actually delay a little, bend a little bit and create a little bit more time to use some of that muscular properties you got. You look at Sean Tate, very big upper body wingspan, very strong, and we look at his bent front leg. Like, I think at times we look at it and go, technically that isn't what you want to be doing. Was he actually trying to keep straight? But actually, like, let's flip it and go, actually, is that helping him use the other parts of his body and develop speed?
You mentioned time there. I just want to take you back a bit in time. Yeah. You mentioned time. Once again, that's a buzzword out there. So how would, for someone like Liam, with what happens with his front leg and his action, how is time his friend for performance?
So if you run up really, so let's take Brett Lee as a model, as we've talked about. Brett Lee runs up very quickly, reasonably well. For him, it's his speed, but it's reasonably quickly compared to other bowlers.
We're looking at 25, 26
kilometres per hour. I don't know. I don't want to put but the upper end, When he braces with front leg, it converts all of that energy, a bit like a whip, straight into the ball. When you're up slower, you have more time to use the big muscles in your upper body, but you haven't got loads of time because you've only got like 100 milliseconds, which is about the same time you can fire one muscle from 0 to maximal. But for Liam, who probably wants to use a little bit of those muscles and he still wants to use some of the run-up speed, you've got this trade-off between time and your technique. And one way you can create a little bit more time is obviously not optimally transferring that momentum. So don't brace completely, but flex a little bit so you know you've got a little bit more time. And your brain's a wonderful thing that it finds the best optimal for you. And I think, like, listening to Liam's story, when you've been told bowl quicker, it'd be interesting to know what you changed or what you thought in your brain, because the research at that time was run up quicker to bowl quicker. Yeah. So I wonder if someone's gone bowl quicker and you've run up quicker and all you've done is made your brain try and solve a problem it can't solve, the ball's coming out all over the place.
I think Liam was probably someone we were more curious about. So someone who could bowl high pace with high skill, but he didn't look like you sort of.
It was a headache.
It was a headache, wasn't he? And
that sums me up, to be honest.
Yeah. But you were obviously getting things from other part of either your training or your action that transferred into world class. And we're going to talk about that later, because you won a World Cup, which means you're part of a world class team. And I think when we're talking about the science side of it, it's important to know that there's really important individual factors.
Yeah, I think a lot of conversations we have, you'll come to me with an idea and I'll be like, yeah, if you change that, this will change. And it's the bowling action, I think we forget, exists way before you let go of the ball. There's like front leg, and that part you do generate most of your speed and transfer that speed from your run up. You've got the jump gather, you've got back foot contact, you've got a run up. There's so much of it that links together. If you just go to the end point and go, right, the leg's not in the right place, I'm going to change it, without changing something before, they're probably not going to be able to do it. and then you've got no idea what's happening with the rest of that sequence and how the body moves. I think that's one of the big things we've developed over what we've been doing, and obviously now our work with Donetic is creating that framework of understanding the whole sequence and not just points in time of, if you hit that point, like you can still land it front foot contact with a straight leg and delayed and fall through the floor and collapse and not bowl very quickly. So it's not about meeting shapes or points in time, it's how you put the whole sequence together. And I think that's when you look at bowlers like Liam that are a little bit different, you learn more from. If they're all the same, we wouldn't learn anything about the individual side of it. So yeah.
So as we move towards 2019 World Cup, you've gone through that tough stage, and you've started to fight your way out of it, and England are starting to knock on the door.
Yeah.
What would you say was the final sort of mental stroke technical stroke fitness that then allowed you to get to that position where you became part of that side?
I think starting with Yorkshire and the backing from Dizzy, but also the way I went about my work in terms of the fit. I've always loved fitness side, but just having that come together with the confidence, and then also Dizzy getting behind me, then playing for Yorkshire, then being successful, getting the love of the game back. I think it all just sort of came together, and that's why I started to play cricket. That's why I followed my dad. That's why I played cricket in the streets, is because I love cricket. So getting that love back after a couple of years where you're non-stop going to sleep thinking about your action, thinking about bowling wides, all of a sudden I'm loving the game, right? So it's and it's funny, but that's your job, that's your passion, right? That's what pays the bills. So if you're waking up and you can't perform, like, what else am I going to do here? Like, do you know what I mean?
I think it's really interesting. I've spoken to a few ex-pros now where on the outside looking in, it's like, well, they know what they're doing and they can go and land it. Like, they're the pros, they're the best at it. But actually, when you talk to them, there are moments within all of these journeys where they're going, I didn't know what the hell I was doing or how I was going to land it, and I had no idea what worked and what didn't work. And you get that vulnerability still exists at the top level, which is really interesting.
So going back to that point, like having a year or two, and then I think that period is when, and I'm not sort of comparing myself to Mitch Johnson, but I was bowling rapid, I was bowling consistently 9 miles an hour, 92, 93 miles an hour, county cricket. At the same time, England will get battered by Mitch over in the Ashes. And I think England were looking for someone who can bowl as quick. And as I said, I'm not Mitch Johnson, but like I was kind of that role in county cricket. And then Cookie, and I think it was Peter Moores was head coach.
Yeah.
And I'd had two sort of times with Peter Moores. The first time I didn't know my action and I was struggling, so yeah, I was probably difficult to be involved with. But the second time I was more confident and I was bowling quick, and I think they give me a specific role, just run up and bowl quick. And I did the same thing as I was doing for Yorkshire. You run up and bowl quick, you can bowl around the wicket. And I think when I first started, it was like, no, I'm just going to hit length. If I'm not bowling, swinging away, then I'm struggling. But now it's like, I'm running up and a ball quick. If I'm not swinging it, well, how can I adjust? That comes with age and experience. I think at that point, I knew my role, I was confident, and I was enjoying cricket. And then from that, I thought, okay, I'm not involved in white ball cricket. I'm probably just going to play a lot of test cricket, and it was the opposite way around. Morgs at that point, England just got beat in the World Cup in Australia. They got hammered, and they're sort of doing like a renewing of the squad. And the same with Morgs, he found like, well, Liam's bowling rockets here, we're going to use him in this position. And I sort of, that role was sort of created of, you're going to bowl in the middle, you're going to bowl quick, you're going to use your bouncer. And I was confident with that. So from me running up and bowling quick and bowling bouncers, within that I found my line of length. And like the last 4 years I was more consistent. Even now, like if you asked me 10 years ago, like if you haven't played cricket for 6 weeks, go and run up and bowl on the spot, I'd be like, winning. But I think now if you ask me, I could run up and hit the spot 12 from 12, right? It's just, you learn your action, maybe learn where you're falling over or where your weaknesses are, and you figure it out. And also you're not looking to impress anyone. You get to a certain age where you're 31, 32, 33. Then from 31 to 35, being involved with England, you're just like, I'm content with this. And my mindset was so different. I remember when I was struggling with England, in the first time I was involved, I would go to bed and I'd be worried so much, and I would struggle to sleep about a vision bowling that massive wide in a test match. And then come back how many years later, I would go to bed dreaming I'd nick someone off. So it's amazing how that changed, and it just comes with the confidence and not giving you do give a whatever, but it's just it is what it is. I've been through the ups and downs. What's the worst that can happen? And I was also speaking to a sports psychologist who said the best thing that someone said to me is like, just because you're not successful in cricket doesn't mean you're not a good bloke or a good husband or a good whatever, like good brother. And so like that kind of put things in perspective for me a little bit.
Yeah, that's nice.
Do you think that that period, not thinking about technique as much, helped grain something that become more consistent?
I mean, when I look back at it, there was lots and lots of conversations talking about technical stuff. But I think when I look back at how you think of the fifers or playing for England, you don't, to one point. I was always trying, well, am I running up smooth? And I'd speak to you, because in that point, I'd work with you. I'd go with you all the time if I pick your brain, or I'd be on a line strip, or I was involved with England, or I'd go to South Africa, and you're picking up stuff. So you'd have a point where you would be doing technical, and it's like, we've done the technical work.
But during that phase from 2015 where the England World Cup went a bit wrong to 2019, I think a particular thing that all players go through is like a funnel effect. There's lots and lots at the top, and you work out what works for you towards the end.
I can remember very clearly that, Liam, you weren't keen on really heavy technical input. So we used to talk much more about sort of rhythm and flow, didn't we? Rhythm, flow, and feel. And sort of, I suppose, and this is credit to you, Paul, what I was learning from you and the sort of laws of biomechanics was that I had to adjust to what Liam needed at that particular time. It didn't mean I'd pander to him and say, if I saw something that I clearly believed would have been a hindrance to you, I'd say, well, hold on, let's have a think about this. Let's have a think really carefully to what you want to feel. I was then having to challenge myself to go back, look at all of his footage, and remember that everything was about Liam now, and it wasn't about turning him into Brett Lee or someone else. So I would go back and I would look at the footage again, and there was a number of times that you'd wander over into Loughborough, and I'd say, come and have a little look at this, and it would be Liam. And I'd say, look, he's not feeling right at the moment. Is there anything that we're missing? And we'd talk about run-up speeds, for example, so that Liam was able to get to his own optimum feel. But what we try to do is then simplify that into simple questions. How do you feel you're running in? Do you think it's worth experimenting, either just scrubbing off a bit of speed or giving yourself a little bit more? Would that make you feel better in your action, rather than put your right leg there, your left leg there, your right eyelash over here, and then land with all your arms at a certain degree? There's a time and a place for that, but probably not.
I think what you did well though, mate, is I think you realised I'd been through the ringer before, and if you came at me with that, I'd probably be like, oh, what's going on here? Like, there's too much information. I think what you did well is, okay, he's been through this, we're going to work on stuff that makes him feel better. And you probably knew, speaking to Paul as well, is his run-ups right, everything else connects?
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? There was always something, and it was come to me in a simple way to say, listen, how do you feel here? Your run-up speed's a bit down. Okay, let's get that going.
Yeah.
So it was technical, but you didn't explain it too technical, and it was.
I think we were trying to give you like an optimal bandwidth to operate in, to say you don't have to be perfect all the time. No, we love it, but you don't have to be. So there's a bit of wriggle room within it, isn't there? And I think you taught me a lot about not shoving technique down bowlers' throats. I mean, and that is so important. I haven't been a bowler myself. I liked that sort of input, and I played in a time when there wasn't much of it about, but there were a few coaches at that time. Bob Cottam gave me some fantastic technical advice at some point, and I thought, I like this, and it was sort of just sparking my my curiosity around how can I make myself better than I am. But I think with you definitely toned down my thinking, but I'd still go back and check that the way I was coming back at you was correct.
Yeah.
Because remember, you guys are there to do a serious job. 2019 World Cup.
Yeah.
You are tasked, let's not put it too simply, you are tasked with the nation feeling really good about cricket and trying to keep growing the game.
I don't know.
So we knew at that time, when Paul and I were talking about you as an individual, this information that we're going to be trying to impart is pretty crucial, because it's your career, but it's also the nation needing success. And we felt that trying to tone it down rather than amp it up was probably the way to go, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I think that our relationship as a triangle, if you want to go player, coach, scientist, is not very often as a scientist I go to you, because it gets too technical and everything. Some players do like it. They like coming into the conversations and learning it. I think some of that's more towards the end, when you're starting to think about what you want to do next in terms of coaching and stuff.
I think with that as well, it's towards, it's someone who's like you said, you don't have to take everything else. You can have good conversations. Say, well, actually, there's only a little bit I want to take from that right now. But yeah, but I agree. Like at this age now, I'm still going to play for another year, but I'd be more interested in speaking and knowing what's going on. Why did we change this a little bit, or why do we do that? I think, yeah.
I think for me as a coach on the other side of what I do, it can flip the other way because I've got so much knowledge. Without having somebody to filter it, you can almost try and throw all of it as well. So I think moving forward, let's go towards the 2019 World Cup, and one of those winter days at Loughborough where I've walked in to see Kevin about something, and there was a video of your bowling, and we started to talk about, are you running up too fast or too slow? What do you remember about the build-up to that World Cup, and any slight things of getting ready for it? What were you working on? Were there any things you were concerned about going into that World Cup?
I was always worried about my pace. I'm like, if I lose my pace and that quick bouncer, is everything else going to be okay? But I think I remembered that winter I was struggling, so I was trying to do some extra, like, well, how do I get strong? How do I get my run up? And it was silly things that probably went to like little injuries. So the day before the game, it's like, I want to do like a sprint session. I want to get some bands around me and get my knee driving. And there was all these things, but you think it's going to work, but just make you fatigue for the game.
Try to find that magic.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it was I picked up a lot of injuries, and maybe I just not played enough to reach the point where I was performing at the best. But I think looking back at now, I wasn't 27, I was 34, 35. I wasn't bowling consistently 90 miles an hour. I still had the ability to be consistently in 135, and I would bowl a ball. There's balls in the World Cup where I was bowling 93, 94, right? There was the odd peaks where I would do that, but that made me kind of successful because I run up a ball 80 miles an hour, the next one it clicked and I bowl 88. And I think that natural variation helped me pick up wickets. But yeah, I think it was building up. We had a tour to Ireland and the wicket was a little bit slow. I didn't feel great. I picked up 4 wickets to give you a little bit of confidence. But in the back of my mind, it was always seeking out, I'm a little bit older, I'm losing pace. But I think I picked up so much over my career, and especially the 4 years playing one-day cricket before the World Cup. Well, I'm not just a guy who's trying to bowl quick. I'm someone who can use different variations. I can smash my length. Even at 80 miles an hour, I'm successful. I hit the bat hard. I've got a natural variation. My bounce is still quick. So I was kind of at a good place. I think it was just trying to get my heavy ball back and not try to rush it too much. So, yeah.
So this is really interesting. Going back to earlier on in your career when you started to just have some challenges, you saw problems, didn't you? It looks like now you're actually working on solutions.
Yeah.
Because of the experiences that you had, and you weren't panicking, and it seemed like you found a bit of clarity for moving towards the World Cup.
Yeah, I did. I mean, it was great from the management and captain to back you. They always back you. Morgs was great the last 4 years I played under him. Trevor Bayliss was great, backed you as well. But I think it is you have to sort of give yourself credit. I think, well, I'm more skillful than I thought I was. As I got older, I looked at my opponents more. I would look the night before, having a coffee during an afternoon before a game. What
would you look up there with the opponent?
All I'd ask for is wickets, singles. I wouldn't want to see any boundaries. I don't want to see that. Like, I know they're good players. They're going to hit a bad ball. Yeah. Where's the singles? Where's the wickets? Where's the dot ball?
So were you looking for patterns that?
Yeah. Just say like, explore. Yeah. So obviously Warner's a great cricketer, but like, where's his? I know he's going to cut me. Is he going to pull me? But can I get tight on him and go across him with like heavy cutters to make him just get off strike and just stuff like that and make
sure. Would that focus you then?
Yeah, it did. I just felt confident. I felt like if I'm going to bowl where I know they're not going to hit boundaries, if they hit me from that, I'm fine with that. Like, I can go for 70 off 10 overs and I might bowl well. I'm fine with that. I can sleep, right? So it's, if I go and I bowl a load of crap, then it's on me. But I feel like as I got a bit older, I was more successful because I sort of backed myself. I kind of knew my strengths and the weaknesses of the batter. I also used the field for that. Like, you're clever with your field positions and you're more unique now. You look at the franchise stuff T20, people don't have a fine leg, they don't have this, and it's not so traditional where everyone has to be square on the boundary. You have to be perfectly square. Well, actually, you can be 10 yards behind, and it's just like as you get older, you learn the game, right? So it's just learning the little things that work for you.
I think there's a great point in there around bowling. Like, I know Shiny talks about this in terms of bowling your best ball, and kids often think they'll go out and they look at what says in the scorebook rather than actually how they feel they bowl.
I think that's a massive point, mate. That was when you talk about things that someone told me in my career that stuck with me. That was one of the things, mate. His bowl your best ball. And I remember Sean Pollock saying, I know I'm going back to a question you asked earlier. I remember Pollock saying, because I was so, I need to swing it away to be six. I need to swing it away. And he said, mate, you still get wickets ball in swing. And I remember that sort of thing stuck with me. So even if you're not swinging away, you can still bowl heavy. If it's not shaving away, you can bowl 85 miles an hour and get people on the LB and bowled. And I remember that stuck in my head. I just never came out.
Yeah, I can remember doing a session with somebody where they were like trying to bowl 60 out of 60 and exactly where they wanted to bowl it. And I asked the question, well, how many do you actually bowl in the right spot in a 60 ball session?
So what's really interesting now about your journey, I don't think you're quite aware of how your journey has impacted, a definite part of one-day cricket now. So I'll be working with younger bowlers now, and we'll in 50 over cricket, which is still there, and it's still a great game. We will actually talk about taking wickets in the middle overs, and we will go to you. And it's really interesting that a lot of younger bowlers know about you and your method and how you look to bowl, and we would say, well, actually, let's just go and look at some of the footage and we'll see what you tried to do. So mixing up your cross seams with your wobble seams, with your different lengths, your different fields. And I think that's become a template for a lot of middle over tactics, which, let's face it, in 50 over cricket, that's where you lose it, isn't it? Yeah, because it's such a big period. And what were you thinking then? Were you thinking control the runs, control the rate, or were you thinking wickets?
I mean, firstly, we had a successful ball and attack around that, right? So you had Walksy and Woody and Joffer and Dave Willey at the time, and our ball partnership with Adil Rashid. So it helps that you had guys who were very good. But I wasn't better than Chris Walks at opening the ball, and I wasn't better than Joffer after a ball at the death. But I felt like in the middle, there was a gap there for me to use, right? And I just felt I had I'll go back, it's not pretty, right? You're not the new ball, you're not the guy who's winning the game at the end, it's the guys that always we're just going to get the game through here. Everyone's going to go to sleep in the crowd and not interested in this middle period. So it's fine in a way, well, how can I get like a Kohli out or Steve Smith out who can sort of change the way the game's going to go? So it's with the backing of Morg, well, let's be aggressive, let's use that pace, make them feel uncomfortable, use your variations, be attacking with the field, with obviously Morg's ideas of getting them fielders underneath the lid, or get their short cover in and let them hit through there. If it goes for 4, that's fine, but they're not going to get off strike. Let's put some pressure on it. But yeah, it was so simple. This is the ball I'm going to bowl. I'm going to bowl cross seam. I'm going to smash the stumps. I'm going to bowl a bouncer and try and hit you in the helmet or make you play a shot. So I just try to keep it simple. And as you said, it's so nice to hear, like you hear Carson stuff talking about like how he wanted to do that middle period like I did. And it was just, that was the gap for me to play for England.
Yeah.
As I said, there was players who were great either end and who were better than me at doing that, but this was what I...
You made that your own, though, because it's a big period of play, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and it's been excited about that. It's like not just going through the motions. How can I change a game? How can I be effective and get big wickets? Because I know if they're 6 down going into 10, it's better than having, as you said, Kohli still batting there. And if you can get the big hitters in middle orders, then you've done a good job. So I'd be happy. I'd take 2 for 50, and I'd be very happy. I felt like I'd help England win a game there. I don't need to say, oh, he's amazing. No, I'm happy with that job. I used to say at Walksy, like, we the ants, right? Like, in cricket, you're the working ants. You get, like, Bairstow and all the guys, and Rooty taking the glory for hundreds, but we've actually the ones who've been grafting here. We bowled 20 overs in training. We turn up in the game, and we do the job of picking up 2 for 50, 2 for 60, but you won't win the game.
So come on, talk us through it. You've won the World Cup.
Yeah.
What did it mean to you?
I think it means, I remember I was speaking to Rash in the Super Over, and this is where I completely messed up because I thought I was feeling a third man, and I wasn't. I was at mid-wicket, so I can't remember the conversation. I think I got moved or something, but I remember saying to Rash, I was like, you remember when you were a kid and you're in the garden and it's like, if you take this catch, you win the World Cup. You say stupid stuff like that, and it all sort of just, it clicked, right? And we won the World Cup, and it was amazing at that time because it was like emotional and it hit people at different times. I went to the dressing room, you get emotional, you're excited, and the next day at breakfast you look over, someone's eating the baked beans and they're crying a little bit, so it was a great journey. But I mean, it means everything, right? It's one of the best days of my life. To say you've won the World Cup with England at Lords in a Super Over, I think you couldn't have sort of dreamt of a way to finish your international career.
With your family there?
With my family there, with my wife and also my father-in-law who flew in from the States. But it was... all through that World Cup, I felt like we were going to win it. Not through like an arrogance, but I just felt like it was meant to be. Even when we got beat a few games, the guys were still trying to improve day by day. It wasn't like we've been really good for 4 years, we've been the best in the world for a period now. It's like we have to get better. We have to get better. And that was what's the best thing about that. Guys are trying to improve day in, day out. And winning that, as you said, it was something I dreamt of. And I'm very fortunate to be part of such a great group of players.
Yeah. So were you content then to draw a line under your international career?
No, I still felt like I had plenty to offer. However that looked, as I said, I bowled as good as anyone in that period in the World Cup, and I was taking wickets. I've spoken about this many times. I think it was just the way it was dealt with at that point by England. If someone came to me and just said, "Listen, this is what we're going to do," okay, and it just no one spoke to me kind of like that. It was like I found out on social media that I was involved in a tour, and it was kind of upsetting that it finished like that. So looking back now, because it's been a few years since then, I am content, and I've picked up injuries since then. So it's just the way that it was kind of sort of spoken about, really.
Yeah.
Could have been done better.
But it was an unbelievable career. When you think back over, we've tried to cover it today, but it can never do justice to the time and the effort that's gone in from a really positive early start into a tiny bit of a struggle. And they always say that to reach flow, you've got to have struggle.
Yeah.
And it looked like you were able to deal with that side of it incredibly successfully. So congratulations on an amazing career.
So, Liam, what's next in terms of coaching, playing?
Yeah, I mean, finishing the World Cup, I was still involved with Surrey at that time. It was the World Cup, then COVID, and it was obviously we all knew how sport was and cricket was at that time. I love Surrey. For them 3 years I was there. We got beat in a T20 Plus final, and then I was moved across to America to be involved in Major League Cricket. That's been the last 3 years, which has been really exciting. It's well, firstly, when I first met Mrs. 18 years ago, someone said to me in 18 years' time, or 16 years' time, you're going to go to America, you're going to be playing Major League Cricket, you live in your house with your wife. Like, I wouldn't have believed it, right? So it was so surreal. That sort of came together. But yeah, I guess you've all seen how cricket is growing over there, and the World Cup was there this year. They sold out stadiums in New York, which is amazing, which is down the road from me, and Major League is building. They have 6 franchise teams now involved with IPL teams. San Francisco Unicorns, an amazing name, but that's a team that I play for.
Yep.
They're linked in with Victoria Cricket, so if you got Graham Manu there, who's sort of leading that. You got Shea Watson, head coach, and you got some Pat Cummins involved in that. But alongside that is me. I got asked a lot over there because there's not many of us who've played cricket who've got interest in coaching, who've sort of got the resume that I have, right? Of going across there, there's only maybe myself and Corey Anderson. He's still playing, he's still 31, 32, so he's not kind of looking at the coaching side just yet. But I was getting asked, will you do some coaching here? Can you be involved in that? And I was like, why do I not sort of set my own thing up? Liam Plunkett Cricket LPC is, I sort of came together with a businessman from the UK, and we sort of built like a coaching platform. At first, he was explaining a bit like Netflix. He's like, you want to be the platform where people go and they can get a bit of this, a bit of that. So that's what we kind of sort of did. We started LPC, and we have a few facilities in Philadelphia now. We sort of do the cricket logistics for them. We sort of coach the coaches and make sure it's like a little successful cricket business. But the platform that we've built is online coaching. So we just launched the Rookie Coach, is where if you want to be interested in cricket and you want to know the basics, you're going online and it's 45 minutes. You're learning the basics of cricket. A bit like an ECB model for the next one, which is interactive, where you're going to go online and it's going to be coach development. So officer who runs you through it, gives you exactly like ECB in terms of the structure. So we sort of put that whole platform together. Then you've got the in-person, which is going to be sort of launched next year, is when you get coaches who want to obviously advance the coaching skills. Because it's so hard to access in the States, mate. It's people want to seek out. It's not they can fly to the UK and do it. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited about that. It's put a lot of time and effort into that to make it look good and make sure the user journey it makes sense. The massive passion for me, and hopefully this is going to happen in collaboration with some other companies that we're working with now, is to get cricket into schools, starting in sort of elementary school. And you don't have to teach the ins and outs. It's like, what is cricket, the basics. You want kids to have fun, learn how to bowl, learn how to catch, learn to whack the ball, and they go home really excited that they learn cricket for that day. And from that is like, where do we seek out cricket academies? And hopefully from the school they can seek out these academies to learn more. But it's exciting. I think I said to you guys, is I play cricket for a living, and now it's like I'm an adult at 38, right? I've got to start working for a living, but it's good. I enjoy it.
You through this conversation, you talked about the love of the game.
Yeah.
And the fact that, whenever you sort of got into some darker areas, you'd go back to the love of the game. Mm-hmm. And it's really clear the way you talk about it now that that's what you want to, build most of all, is a way for people to actually get the love of the game that you've had. which is really, really good to hear. And especially if you're doing it on a continent that's really never played cricket before. I mean, a hell of a challenge. And you were unusual as a fast bowler. You were an intelligent one. So
probably the first time someone said that to me.
If there's ever, trust me, and I'm pointing the finger at me, there's some guys that aren't quite so clever.
You know, when I look at coaching, I like being around. I've had nieces and nephews and cousins and stuff like that. I love to work with people in like international cricket and county cricket, but I get so much enjoyment with the kids because they're there for that enjoyment.
Yeah.
So I'll nip into the academies near me, and you're working with kids who are 5 years and 6 years old, and it's amazing how it's sort of the basics then transfer across to county cricket or international cricket. Like the basics, like you wouldn't think it. But like when I'm working with these youngsters, I'll then have a conversation with someone. It's probably the same conversation, just a bit dumbed down for the kids, right?
Yeah,
so it's amazing how it sort of goes across.
So let's now get into your coaching, head, which obviously there's a natural propensity to coach there.
Yeah.
Because you're a caring guy. I definitely know that after knowing you for a very long time.
Yeah.
And let's now get you to coach yourself as a 10-year-old. What would your advice be?
I think similar, and I've been with my dad this week, and he sort of coaches my niece and nephews, is the enjoyment's the biggest thing. You're trying to, I think we spoke about it a little bit, is you're trying to just drop little bits of coaching advice, and maybe without them not realising a little bit. You run up like a train track, you're a train, make sure you go down the track. And
metaphoring it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just sort of run up straight to the keeper, and even better is do a tiny bit of technical stuff, but they don't think about it. They just think about hitting the ball through a cone, or make sure your foot here because you're going to hit the ball through that area, and then let them smack the ball, let them have fun. So 10-year-old, that's the thing for me, is enjoyment, and you're just having little tits of technique with them sort of realising. But kids at 10 years old, has got some intelligent kids there who might seek that out. So you can't not have answers, right? You can't, if someone comes to you with a question, you better know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fascinating that it started with your dad in that way, and now you, at the end of your career, going into exactly the same sort of patterns and mannerisms within your coaching.
Yeah.
Moving forward, fast bowlers often go through this phase normally between 20, 24, where back injuries, things like that happen. What would you say to yourself at that phase of 20 to 24 now, knowing what you got to and where you were at that point?
I think the first thing, what made me successful, I did train hard in terms of strength conditioning, but I probably tell myself I'm not a CrossFit athlete. I'm not trying to do a triathlon. I think I should have been trained more specific for cricket. I had all the right people tell me what to do. And I think I was quite a lot of energy and stuff, and it made me feel content, and I could relax if I trained. But I sometimes think short-sighted and think, well, actually, I've got a game in 2 days' time. Maybe it's best if I go and rest. But I think what was instilled in me as a youngster is you got to work hard, no days off. And I think so. I would have told myself, so listen, you are allowed a day off. Maybe look after yourself a little bit better. You don't have to go all out every session. And it is a lot better now because you can go and do a workout and it's classed as a recovery session, right? That's there for a reason. So I probably would have told myself that, is don't get too carried away with the training. Just because I just said you're in good nick and you feel shredded, you can still bowl all the crap. So it's being smart with that.
I mean, I think as it's come across through our discussion, you talked about don't moan, work hard. That actually, you've learned there's some greyness around that, and you can be smart in the way you do that.
And you've always done it the right way. I've been lucky enough to spend time with you, and how you've actually gone about the tough days and the good days. You've been as level-headed as anyone I've ever known.
Yeah.
So once again, coming in and sharing that with us, has just been brilliant for us, I think. And good luck with the future.
No, it's obviously a pleasure with what you guys are doing now at Genetic, and I've always believed in it, and it's helped me massively in my career. Hence the reason why I'm here speaking to you guys, because we're all sort of on this journey to make this successful. I'm excited about what you guys are doing and being a part of it, and I feel like we're going to change a lot of young bowlers, or bowlers as well. I'm sure there's 16-year-olds there who keep knocking on my door asking me to change their action to make them better. Is going to benefit a lot from what we're doing, you guys are doing. So it's great to chat on the podcast, but also excited to jump on this journey with you guys.
Thanks, Liam. Safe trip back.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. It's great to hear that you're not the only one with 6-year-olds asking them to improve their bowling actions. If you enjoyed that episode of Science and Shiny, please subscribe and join us next time.